Hello, Contrarians family. Here we are for the next preview. This one's uh, this one's special, especially the way that Patron requests are. We didn't even know this movie existed before Patron, previous guest, overall good friend of the show, Chas Fisher, brought it up and said, "Do it." And so we just we just found it, and the movie is Wake and Fright. There's a lot to talk about.
Oh,
We
yeah.
haven't recorded the episode yet. This is one of those previews where um, I really don't want to tip my hand about how I feel about the movie. I'm sure Alex doesn't want to either. So we're going to navigate very carefully through the spoilers of not just the movie, but also our personal feelings as I deliver quotes from Rotten Tomatoes and then Alex delivers some trivia. Uh, and then hopefully that gets you all pumped to listen to the full episode, both Contrarians Corner, which this movie's fresh, so we'll be trashing it in Contrarians Corner, and then Real
It's like
Talk.
97%.
Yeah, it's one of those where like this is that high and I'd never even heard of it. All right, so here's our first quote, Alex, and we're gonna start with a bang. We're gonna start with Roger Ebert from the Chicago Sun-Times. He's gonna set the tone, and the tone is: it is powerful, genuinely shocking, and rather amazing. That's Roger Ebert, patron saint of film reviewers everywhere, just gushing over this movie. Can you imagine Ebert just sitting alone in the dark, just kind of like scratching his chin? Donald Pleasance just pours beer on his face.
Just putting the pieces together, and then Siskel's just like, and then they get into an argument about it.
Yeah, would this be hooey for Siskel?
I would hope not.
It's hooey, Roger. Australian hooey. Next, Glenn Lovell from Cinema Dope says this outrageously overlooked masterpiece is a wake-up call to film scholars who will now have to rethink what came first, this film or Peckinpah's Straw Dogs, which basically charts the same territory. Have you seen Straw Dogs, Alex?
Yeah, that's funny. I was thinking about that when I was watching this earlier.
So
There's a lot of different movies. It's Dustin Hoffman, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
I've seen the remake, the one with Cyclops in it.
James Marsden, Corny Collins. Yeah, there's a lot of movies that were coming to mind when I was watching this, but that was definitely one of them.
Yeah, this is I don't know. I mean, I saw the remakes. It was like the fancy, shinier version.
Yeah. The much hotter version, like it's
basically
Skarsgård kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is the
Alexander Skarsgård,
yeah.
James Woods. I guess that's not the hotter version, but that is just like the Hollywood version.
It depends on who you are.
Yeah, I guess if that's your kink, Republican asshole, yeah, you can go for it. Next, Turdat Derakshani from the Philadelphia Inquirer says, Wake and Fright is essential viewing for anyone interested in the roots of male violence. Are the roots of male violence in Australia? Is that what this reviewer is saying? The root of all evil?
They were like 1900 years too late. I think the root of male violence is when males were put on this planet.
Oh, maybe they mean beer. That's where it all starts. Alcohol.
The old pull tab tops, which of course I've never had one of those, but my dad's explained it to me, and I've seen some old beer cans that he has. Like, what's the satisfaction in that? It's just like pulling a sticker off. You don't get the.
Yeah. All right, and finally, Chris Hewitt from St. Paul Pioneer Press says, a movie that shows us plenty of unsettling stuff, but also knows that what viewers imagine is much more disturbing than what any movie can show. I don't think this leaves much to the imagination, with maybe one exception, and we'll discuss that in the actual episode, but for the most part, I think this is pretty explicit.
Mm-hmm. It shows a descent into madness.
You get full frontal nudity.
The Australian way, you do, kind of surprisingly, and you get some breasts, and but yeah, you get full like hanging brain
from Mr. Grant, Mr. Bond.
He was so distraught from losing all his money, he had no choice but to just get naked.
That's how you roll in Australia. All right. Well, those were the quotes, Alex. Let's roll also into the next bit, which is let's place patron saint of the Contrarians, Josh Gad, in this movie. Could he pull off being the foreigner, the outsider?
No, he would have to be like an affable bartender or something, or one of the guys that's leading the gambling ring.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah.
he wouldn't just be like a bystander. He would be involved. He would be one of the guys explaining how the game's played or something. Real sweaty and yelling and very foul mouthed. I think that could work for him. Just because like any of the lead guys, I wouldn't buy him in the role of John, and then there's no way he's taking Dr. Loomis's spot. And then even the other guys are just so nasty and mean spirited and ill willed that it's
Well,
just
there's one guy. There's one guy that's not as bad. The guy that brings him home, and
yeah, the old guy with the daughter.
Yeah. So
I mean, he would have you'd have to like prosthetics like what's the Guy Pearce in Prometheus. You'd have to do that with Josh Gad for this particular role, but maybe that would work.
All right. Well, that was the Josh Gad minute. Alex, tell me some stuff about Wake and Fright.
It's one of only 2 films ever to screen twice at Cannes. So there you go.
Seems like cheating.
Because, and we'll talk about this more in the episode. This movie was actually lost. Like the film was lost for like decades. Like it came out, and then there was. This is like a really brief and vague overview, but it was like I think the studio acquired another one, and then some of the assets for it just kind of got lost forever. And in 2004, September 2004, 236 cans of film, which were thought to be lost forever, were discovered, and that included the original negatives for this. So once it was fully restored, it screened again in 2009 at the Cannes Film Festival after having premiered at it in May of 1971. So this actual movie has a pretty interesting and rich history. Gary Bond, John Grant, this is only one of 3 movies he did. It was his last film.
After this one, he was like, fuck this business.
He was, sounds like a pretty accomplished stage actor who sadly died of AIDS in October of 1995. He was only 55 when that happened, but...
was that before they found the movie?
It was like 10 years before that.
That's a bummer.
Ted Kotcheff, the director, wouldn't you believe it? He also, about 20 years after this, directed a movie called Weekend at Bernie's.
Yep, I believe it because I saw it. I was like, what else did this guy do? And my mind was blown. Like, if Alex doesn't bring it up, I'm going to. Didn't he do Rambo too? Is it the first Rambo? Did he do First Blood?
He did. Yes, sir.
How do you, like, I guess I can see the connection between this movie and First Blood, from First Blood to Weekend at Bernie's.
He also did the Fun with Dick and Jane that had Jane Fonda and George Segal in it. So
it's just like, throw whatever you want at me. I can handle
all over the place. Exactly. Chips Rafferty, who played the sheriff, Jock Crawford, insisted, this was his last film appearance, and he insisted on drinking real pints of beer during the bar sequences. Kotcheff substituted non-alcoholic beer for the real stuff, but Rafferty could tell immediately when it had no alcohol content and demanded proper pints being served. He told Kotcheff, "You concentrate on the directing, I'll concentrate on the drinking." The director calculated that due to this, Rafferty was drinking up to 30 pints per day. It's pretty fucking metal, dude.
That's why this was his last movie, maybe?
Yeah. Wake and Fright, more like Wake with Cirrhosis. The opening shot was done with a cherry picker. I found that opening shot to be pretty cool. It's just like out in the middle of nowhere. Presumably this is how Chaz lives, just in like the desolate, dry, barren land. It's just a static shot. It looks like the fucking desert in GTA 5 is what it looks like. But it's just a 360 round the way shot of nothingness. And this was in the days of, having to get creative with what you were doing. So that's what it came down to. No drones, no sir. And lastly, I think this kind of leaves on the right tone to discuss this movie. that has such an emptiness about it, and such a fascinating legacy. And that is that United Artists had so little faith in the film that when it opened in America, it opened in a single theater on the east side of New York on a Sunday night. On top of that, a blizzard had started not too long before. Because of these factors, not a single person saw the film on its opening day.
Jesus. All right. Well, let's go. Let's go into the real episode, guys. You know what to do. Just check your podcatcher feeds. Look for part 1, Contrarians Corner, part 2, Real Talk. We have we'll even have clips from Chaz Fisher himself telling us a little bit about his experience with the movie and why he picked it. So thank you for checking out this video. Thank you for checking out the podcast, as we're sure you're going to do. And we'll see you again soon with our next movie, which is... Oh, we're doing a Psycho doubleheader, original Psycho and remake Psycho with some friends joining us. So stay tuned for that. But we'll see you again soon.